west side. So after that horrific intro, I'm Azriel, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a... After that horrible intro, I'm going to do a little bit of a response video to this Riley J. Dennis, "Are genital preferences transphobic?" That's saying, if you only like women with vaginas, are you transphobic? Alright, let's get into this.
Recently on the internet, there's been a lot of discussion around genital preferences and transphobia.
Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those types of trannies.
In this video, I'm going to use the word cissexism instead of transphobia, but they're really similar words. At its most basic, cissexism means prejudice or discrimination against transgender people. So what's been happening is that some people are making the argument that it's not cissexist at all to only be attracted to people with one kind of genitals.
If I'm having sex with a girl, I assume it's going to be a girl. That means they'll have the puss, if you know what I mean. But apparently in 2017, a girl having a vagina is too much to ask.
For example, these people might argue that being attracted to only women with vaginas in no way negatively affects trans people. On the other hand, I would argue that it's more complicated than that. We all have our implicit biases built into our preferences, and gender isn't as simple as just the genitals you have.
Yes, it is as simple as just the genitals you have.
But after I say that, I usually get a bunch of blatantly cis-sexist responses.
He called it.
So I thought I'd address all of those responses at once. Number one, you're being homophobic. In this argument, I often get accused of homophobia, lesbophobia, or lesbian erasure by lesbians who believe that I'm trying to change their sexual orientation or identity. They say that my language sounds a lot like a dude who tried to turn them straight, or like conversion therapy.
Because it is. It's a guy telling them to be attracted to him because he identifies as a girl. Lesbians, they like the pussy. Like me, they like the puss. They don't want to see a dick.
Those responses are rooted in cis-sexism. This is because I'm not telling lesbians that they can't be lesbians. If you're a woman who only likes women, go ahead, identify as a lesbian. But some women have penises.
Some women have penises? What the fuck are you even saying anymore? Your argument is completely invalid. You're born with a dick or a vagina. That defines your gender. You're male because you have a dick, or you're female because you have a vagina. Some women do not have dicks unless you're a hermaphrodite or something.
And if the fact that some lesbians might be attracted to those women offends you, it's because you don't think trans women are real women.
Yes, I don't think trans women are real women.
That's because these accusations of homophobia make it sound like I'm trying to convince lesbians to like men, but I'm not. I'm trying to show that preferences for women with vaginas over women with penises might be partially informed by the influence of a cis-sexist society.
Lesbians, they like women. They want pussy. They don't want a dick. That's the whole point of being lesbian. You don't want a dick. So when you're saying that lesbians should like you because you have a dick, well, not because you have a dick, they should like you despite you having a dick. Completely goes against what they stand for.
You do not have to like men. You do not have to date men or have sex with men. And if you think that's what I'm arguing, you're simultaneously strawmanning my argument and implying that trans women are men. Number two, you're upholding rape culture. This is honestly the worst response that I've heard and probably the most cis-sexist one. That's because trans women have a long history of being accused of being rapists by cis women.
Who has ever accused this little fucktard of being a rapist? I'll accuse this little fucktard of being psychotic, but there's no point in accusing them to be a rapist because they're obviously not.
It's the logic behind bathroom bills that prevent trans women from using the right bathroom. It's why some cis women are terrified of the idea of sharing a locker room with a trans woman. This is a very common tactic used by anti-trans folks to discredit trans women as just men trying to invade women's spaces so they can rape them.
But you're a man invading a woman's space. So basically what you're arguing is proven false by what you just said. You're a man invading a woman's space. It's obvious. And maybe you are a rapist, maybe you aren't. It doesn't matter. It's a woman's space, not a man's space.
Even if this is not your intention when bringing this up, this is what you are implying, and it is where this argument comes from.
No one is implying shit though.
Suggesting that trans women are rapists for wanting to be fully recognized as women is extremely harmful. And I should note that I'm not saying you have to do anything without consent. I'm a big fan of affirmative consent.
Oh my lord. Affirmative consent. That's me. Oh my lord. Affirmative consent. That basically means that a yes isn't good enough. You need a strong and enthusiastic yes. It's gotta be oh hell yeah, I wanna have that sex right now. You can't just be just like yeah sure whatever, I don't really give a shit. Well, if the person just says a normal yes, then you're a rapist. She said yes, was it enthusiastic? No, you're a rapist. Oh, it was a black chick who didn't give you an enthusiastic yes. Now you're a racist rapist.
And you should never feel pressured to have sex with somebody. This isn't about an individual. This is not saying you have to have sex with a trans woman or you're cis-sexist.
But it is saying that. You just said that.
It's saying that you should examine the societal influences on your preferences. There's a massive difference between honing in on individual scenarios and considering wider societal issues and attitudes. Number 3, I'm allowed to have my preferences. Technically, you're right. You're allowed to have your preferences and you don't have to change anything.
If we're going by technicalities, then technically you're a dude in drag.
But there's more to it than that, and ignoring the deeper issues by stopping at a surface level analysis doesn't do this issue any justice. Like, you're allowed to have a lot of things. You're allowed to have prejudice towards trans people, but that doesn't mean you should. So if we look a little deeper into this issue, there's the possibility of your genital preferences being at least somewhat partially informed by growing up in a cis-sexist society.
I grew up learning that I should respect everyone. My logic grew with me as I got older, and it was being interfered with by these types of people. These people don't go by logic, and that's why we don't accept them.
There's also the fact that a preference is different than saying you would never do something. Like, having a preference for tall girls is fine, but refusing to date anyone under 5'7" is ridiculous. And obviously that's not a perfect analogy because short girls as a group don't face the societal marginalization that trans women do.
That's because being short is something you're born with, and being trans is something you choose. Here, I'll fix your analogy for you. I'm not attracted to tall girls who identify as short girls. That's basically the same thing as a trans.
But I'm interested in having a conversation about labels and implicit bias and trans-inclusive language. Simply saying, it's my preference, end of discussion, is a good way of sidelining all of those issues and instead centering the feelings of cis people in a discussion that's about trans people. Number 4, I have a trans friend who says this is okay. People love their tokens. I've done an entire video on moral licensing and why this is a terrible defense, but in summary, you'll always be able to find trans people to back up your cis-sexist views.
But no one really uses tokens for transgenders. It's usually just for black kids. You know, I have that black friend so I can say something racist. But no one uses it for transgenders because I only know a few and I'm never going to use them as a token because there's no point.
You'll always be able to find gay people who spout anti-gay rhetoric. You can even find people of color who openly advocate racist policies. That doesn't make you right. Having a trans friend doesn't mean you're suddenly an expert on trans issues. People often internalize negative ideas about their own identities and regurgitate them with passion. I've met gay men who told me that their homosexuality was a sin and that their punishment was to be celibate for their entire lives. And even still, they'd probably go to hell. Obviously, that would be anti-gay for any straight person to say, and it's also not okay for gay people to advocate that. In the same way, if trans people are saying cis-sexist garbage, it's still cis-sexist garbage.
Can you just stop saying cis like every other goddamn word out of your mouth? Replace cis with normal people and maybe I'll be okay with it.
And look, there are cis people who are on my side as well, so if you think it's okay to point to your token trans friend, then I can just point to my token cis friend. Number 5, I'm triggered by penises because of past sexual trauma.
I'm triggered by penises? What does that mean? What is... I'm sorry. I can't.
That's completely understandable. I've never said that anyone should have to have sex with someone with a penis if they don't want to. If intimacy with someone who has a penis is triggering for you, I would never suggest that you have to do that. Take your time to heal and work through your trauma at your own pace. Just be aware that the majority of people making the I could never date someone with a penis argument are not doing so because of trauma or triggers. So that is all of the typical responses I could think of. The first 2 responses in particular come from TERF, RADFEM, and gender-critical ideologies, which are all proudly anti-trans. Even if you don't consider yourself a part of those movements, you're siding with them when you use their argument.
You're saying if you believe in one idea of a movement, then you believe in all of them? That's complete bullshit. See, I like to drink Fanta. I love the soda Fanta. But Fanta was created by Nazis in Nazi Germany during World War II. Do I agree with Nazis? No. But do I enjoy Fanta? Yes.
Their entire platform is cis-sexist, and their arguments reflect that. So even if you say you believe trans women are women, it doesn't do a whole lot of good if you're still completely siding with folks who don't believe that trans women are women. And the last thing I want to say about this is that if you'd rather not have sex with a woman who has a penis, maybe just don't make such a huge deal of it.
Why are you making a big deal out of it then?
Trans women are often afraid of not being found attractive or desirable after coming out, and you're not helping. If you really want to be an ally to trans people, you could just not talk about it.
I doubt I'll find any girl who used to be a guy attractive, as that build doesn't do anything for me. I'm not attracted to that. And I don't know why I would be. I'm straight. Why would I want to date a guy?
And by that, I'm not trying to censor you, okay? So don't pretend this is censorship. You have the freedom to say whatever you want. I'm just asking you to consider if it's necessary to say those things when they reflect harmful or violent rhetoric. Because if you have an opinion that you know is only gonna make people feel bad about themselves, why constantly share it with the world? It's fine to not find people attractive, but it's mean to constantly yell about how unattractive you find those people, especially when those people are oppressed.
I was just waiting for you to say oppressed. I thought you were gonna say it originally, and then you finally do it. I love that word. Oh my god. Oppression, oppression, oppression. Me being a white male, I oppress everybody. I just step on the people lower than me all the time. I don't even have to notice it because you know what? I'm privileged.
For another imperfect analogy, it'd be like if you weren't attracted to girls with short hair. That would be fine, but you probably wouldn't write articles and make videos defending why it's okay for you to not like girls with short hair.
So why are you making videos saying that it's not okay to not like girls with short hair? Girls with short hair representing transgenders, of course, in your video.
You could do that, but sometimes it's just best to be polite. And that is everything I have to say on that topic. This video is a part of my Feminism with Riley series that I'm doing in collaboration with Everyday Feminism, a website dedicated to helping you stand up to and break down everyday oppression. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I cannot wait to watch the rest of the series. This is what I live for. I hope you all enjoyed watching. It was really fun to make this video because I love I hope you all enjoyed watching. I love making these types of videos because I just love these feminazi little shitheads. And if you like the video, be sure to subscribe, like, do whatever you want. I don't really give a shit. Recommend to a friend. Be a good person. Donate to me. I don't really, you know, if you donate to me, I will personally come down to your house and give you a hug. And that's a promise. It's a fucking promise.